Hello and welcome back. As a publishing company, there are several routes that you can follow to win the game. In this section, we're going to outline some market approaches which have already proven to be successful. Our objectives would be to introduce 4 successful market approaches to increase your revenue and to gain more in-depth knowledge of each market approach once they've been introduced to us. Okay, so here are 4 different approaches. Market approach number 1 would be focusing all your efforts on one bestseller. Approach number 2 would be category domination through the splash technique. Approach number 3 would be riches through niches. And then approach number 4 would be magazine subscription and recurring revenue. Now let's consider market approach number 1, where an author would focus all their efforts on one bestseller. Often we find that there are authors with just 1 or 2 books who make way for more, they make more money than their competitors who maybe has 50 publications. These authors would concentrate their entire monthly budget and their efforts on promoting only one book. Every event that they speak at, every social media post that they release, and all their efforts will relate directly or indirectly to one book. Eventually what happens is the sheer volume of positive comments that the book attracts will completely dominate the market beyond what any of the competitors of that book can achieve. Then what happens is academic writers, review sites, and even the newspapers start to talk about the book because the author's strategy eventually earned them a legitimate reputation as a distinctive authority on the topic. Now, this is a great tactic, but there are some requirements for this to be successful. Firstly, you have to be prepared to reinvest a part of your profits every month towards the promotion of the book rather than trying to game the system. You really have to be an authority also on the particular topic that you're writing on. So that you can create awesome content. And then thirdly, you have to be absolutely certain that your fans would accept and love this book, so that you obviously can hedge yourself against any downturns. So I personally won't recommend this to everyone, but yes, this tactic will have some merit to it. Now let's have a look at market approach number 2, which is category domination through the splash technique. This is interesting because when I released my book on luxury brand marketing, I realized that one of my competitors, Professor Kapferer, whom I respect a great deal, had created a range of titles around the same topic. He taught me a good lesson, which is you can keep a core text but add several pathways to it which might interest the reader, and then create a separate book for every pathway. And this way, what happens in the search result is the author name keeps appearing several times over within the category. And you can take this a step further. You can also create several smaller ebooks which you buy cheaply from other writers that you've outsourced. And you can all use them as teasers to link back to your main article. So for example, if your main topic is luxury cars, you can create a book on luxury car sales, on luxury car hire, on luxury car financing, and then you'd link each book back to your main book that you want to sell. Now the requirements for this strategy would be that you've got to be prepared for high volume publishing, or either you've got to hire people to work for you. And then obviously high volume publishing is going to mean high volume research to be able to do it. And then obviously you have to be prepared to give up some control of the process and trust other writers to help you gain some volume. Right, let's have a look at market approach number 3, which is riches through niches. Here you would use category domination as we've just discussed, but you would try to find a topic that not many publishers wrote about. For example, if most authors wrote business reports on the car market in China, you'll probably identify Brazil or Turkey as countries where there is a unique opportunity, since most of your competitors all went for the big fish, and you're focusing on a niche opportunity instead. But then you would probably have to create a series of market reports for that country, and start off by asking a very high price during the time that your competitors are actually ignoring that market opportunity. This is really awesome. I mean, your volume might be lower, but the margin that you get is very high, and very often you'll find that your competitors neglect to challenge you for a long time because they think the market is too small. Okay, so the requirements for this strategy would be that you have to have cheap or free access to recent data. So try to hire a student who's currently enrolled with a good university, because they can actually save you thousands by accessing good industry reports. And also, secondly, you have to work at the right speed, because perfection can be the enemy. If you spend too much time creating reports and you don't release it at the right time, it wouldn't help. And then also, you should know how to do some keyword research on Google, especially if nobody on iTunes or Amazon ever produced the titles you're about to create. You should certainly use Google to see if there is a market available. Okay, so finally let's have a look at market approach number 4, which is magazine subscription and recurring revenue. In my own opinion, this is the best option if you're prepared to put up the resources. Why do we say so? Because if you keep your subscribers happy, your recurring revenue will keep growing every month. And here you would essentially create an industry or a special interest magazine for a particular audience. It'll be available via multiple channels, and all your efforts will be directed towards marketing the magazine that you created until you've got a very solid subscriber base who are paying you monthly for it. This is again not for everyone, because the following requirements has to be met for magazine publishing. You've got to have constant, fresh information. You have to produce follow-up publications in good time to keep the trust of your readers, and you may need a full-time editor to facilitate the content and ensure that the quality remains consistent. And lastly, of course, Google and Amazon are becoming increasingly more protective of this category, so the acceptance rate is not as high as it is for ordinary books. Great, so now that we've discussed 4 different marketing approaches, I want you to sit down and think for yourself which approach would suit you best if you were to enter the publishing business right now. Talk to people on the forum about it, talk to me about it. Remember, planning before the execution phase is a vital part of our success.